everything you've been taught about aging is a lie? What if all the things that you think of as normal aging, natural signs of aging, natural decline, what if all that is just a myth, or better, a disguise for cultural dysfunction? In this video, I'm going to tell you why what you know, what we've been taught, are natural signs of aging, natural decline, aren't natural at all. But first, I want to tell you about Pearl. Some of you guys know that I used to own a gym. I was in fitness for a long time, and I worked with many kinds of people. And one day, a woman came to see me one afternoon, and she walked in, and I went out to sit with her and speak with her to find out what it was that she needed. She introduced herself as Pearl, and she told me that diabetes ran through her family, that she was having this struggle, and she was noticing some things changing, and she was starting to have some vision issues surface. Pearl really reminded me of my grandmother. My grandmother's been gone for many years now, but she also was very kind, like Pearl. There was something about her spirit, something about her laugh. She was just so great. But also, my grandmother had diabetes, and eventually she lost her sight, we think, as a result of the effects of diabetes. And when Pearl told me that she was struggling with some vision things that had started happening, it instantly reminded me of my grandmother and made me afraid for her. She also told me that her son was starting to have some health issues pop up, and because diabetes ran through her family, and because diabetes ran in his family, he really wanted to find out what was going on. And so she told me that her son might be coming too, to join her and work with me at the gym. We talked for about half an hour, and she told me about how diabetes was something that popped up in her family a lot and had throughout the years, and that she was scared. I told her that I could relate to diabetes running through your family. And we kind of went through a lifestyle plan that we thought could help her to kind of start overcoming this. When she left, she was smiling and she seemed hopeful, and we were all set to start the next day. I never saw her again. She never came back. I've thought about her so many times over the years, and not because I didn't follow up, but because of one thing she said. It runs in my family. The weight in her voice when she said it, it was like there was no getting around it. Like it was written in stone. There was nothing she could do to change it. Like nothing could be done. Our culture teaches us to call things normal that are actually just common. We've been sold a lie, and we've all bought it. We've been sold a lie that dysfunction is just normal. Burnout is just a part of getting older. You know, you grew up. You're in the real world now, right? You just grew up and you're not a kid anymore. So burnout's normal. Illness, it's a tough break, man, but that's just life. Physical decline happens to everybody. Sucks, but it's just one of those things. Aging, you know, it's just what it is. It's just natural. But what if none of that is natural? What if it's just generational drift away from design? And look, I'm not saying that there aren't some things that we get from our people. I'm not saying that things don't run in our family. But what I am saying is this: is natural decline biology or behavior? And I know if somebody's going to say, oh, but we do, but people do inherit disease, and oh, you know, this is in the family. And that, look, I know, I get it. There are some things that do run legitimately through our bloodlines, but it is an observable reality that we give credence to the dysfunctional symptoms that run in our bloodlines, but never the dysfunctional behaviors that run in our bloodlines. Because the truth is we don't just inherit disease, we inherit behaviors. We watched our parents snack late and overeat and drink some kind of alcohol every night. We watched them overwork and numb all the time. And they bought into the same cultural lie that we buy into. We mimic what we saw. But then we call the symptoms, which is really just the physical breakdown of our bodies that we expose to all of these destructive things, the disrespectful relationships we have with alcohol, the gluttonous relationship we have with food and food products, healthy and otherwise, unhealthy, organic, whatever. We experience the breakdown, the symptoms, and we call that aging. We call that aging. We call that natural decline. But if your dad sat on a couch for years eating chips and cookies and snacks and pizza and drinking soda and beer, and he had a belly, a gut, and years later, you buy a nicer couch, organic chips, higher premium beer, and Diet Coke, and you got all the signs of abdominal obesity, and you tell your doctor, oh yeah, my dad had a belly like this, it kind of runs in my family, my uncle had it, my grandfather, I remember he had it. The lack of self-awareness it takes to come to the conclusion that the symptom runs in your family, but to draw no correlation between what you do on a daily basis and what you saw your dad do on a daily basis, your father do, your uncle, your grandfather, your cousin, whoever. Because what happens is the habits stack up and they become more and more habitual. And over generations of the same habits, we drift further and further away from who and what we were designed to be. What we call natural aging, what we call decline, what we call natural physical decline, natural signs of aging, it's the invoice you get delivered with thousands of small agreements you make every day with culture. That's just the bill. You were designed for dominion, not disease, not dysfunction. But the culture says, sit down, shrink back, shut off. And we do it. We comply. We treat disease that runs in our family like the family business because it runs in our family. We expect it and it comes. We do the things that it takes to bring it on and it comes without fail. And then we move further and further away from who we were meant to be. Aging isn't just the years that pass. Yes, we do live in physical bodies and we live a physical existence. And so, yes, we will expire. We will decline, but most of us are dying before we're dead, drifting from our intended God-given design. Aging isn't just the years that pass. It's the amount of ignoring of your design that you do in all of the days that comprise those years. To eat whatever's easy, to overwork, to silence your gifts and say it's sacrifice. That's not aging. It's abstinence. It's abstinence from the principles of your design. I still think about Pearl all the time. I think a lot about people that I worked with when I was in health coaching and when I was a fitness trainer and when I had my gym and even when I didn't have a gym. I worked with many, many different kinds of people and I wasn't able to help all of them. And I still pray for them. And I pray for Pearl. I hope that she found a way to escape the inertia of the lie that it runs in the family. I used to think I failed her, but I guess a bigger failure would have been not learning from what I saw, and not just with Pearl, but in my own family, and not telling you this story now. Look, if you've accepted something as normal, if you thought this runs in my family, it might just be culture's conditioning. And maybe it's time to start reconnecting with what you were made for.